Right, okay. So the last day we learned how to turn fractions and decimals into percentages, right? So quick reminder, if I wanted to turn 3/4, which is a fraction, into a decimal, what would I do? How to turn, or into a decimal, into a percentage. What would I do? Multiply by 100, right? And you type that as you see it into the calculator and you press equals and you'll get 75. It'll come up and you put a percent sign after it. Is that okay? Right, if I wanted to turn 1/3 into a percentage, what would I do? Multiply it by 100 into the calculator and you'll end up with 33.3 and you put a percent after it. Do you remember this? Right, if I wanted to put 0.73, a decimal, into a percentage, how do you turn a decimal into a percentage? You multiply it by 100. How do you turn anything into a percentage? You multiply it by 100. Right, okay. Can we all answer, please? Right, yeah? Like, you know, I know it's depressing being back, but can you answer me? It's because it's even more depressing for me when nobody speaks. How would I turn 0.54 into a percentage? Multiply it by 100, right? Okay, so we did all this before Christmas and you wrote down examples into your notes copy and everything. Okay, right, so let's go the other way around. Just to remind you, what if I told you 65% and I wanted it as a fraction and as a decimal? So turn a percentage, so going the other way. Instead of starting with the fraction, give me the percentage. I'm going to give you the percentage and say give me a fraction. So what does 65%? So if I said 65% in a maths test, you would say that means I got what? 65 out of 100. And you type that into your calculator and you press equals and the calculator will simplify it for you. And that will be 13/20. But what if I wanted it as a decimal? What would you do?
Excuse me please, there will be a meeting for the under 15 and senior soccer panel at 10:10 in the chapel. It is important everyone attends as panels for upcoming matches need to be finalised. That's under 15 and senior soccer panel at 10:10 in the chapel.
Right, so you get 13/20 and you press S to D, remember that button? Right, it turns it to a decimal and you get 0.65. Isn't that right? Okay, so if I told you, wait and I see, 28% as a fraction first and then as a decimal. So how would I write 28%, please? 28 out of 100. Thanks, someone was listening when I asked you to speak. How would you simplify that? You type it into your calculator and press equals, isn't that right? And the calculator would say that's 7/25. So if they asked you for a fraction, that's your answer. What if they said for a decimal? What button would you press now? On the calculator, what button would you press? S to D. And when you press S to D, it'll tell you that's 0.28. Is that okay? Do you remember this? You're very quiet, and I'm hoping that's because you're just don't want to be here as opposed to not knowing the answer. Would that be a safe assumption? Yeah. Do we all know how to do it? Yeah, okay. About 3 people answered me there, so that's progress. There was none a minute ago. Right, okay, are we good? Yeah. Right, okay. Right, so then for your notes copy, I'm moving on today. Right, okay, so we're going to, the reason I'm moving on today is because we're going to be using that all the way through the chapter, the bit we've just done. Okay, so finding a percentage of a quantity, and we've done this in a previous chapter. You did it with me, okay, but we're just going to remind ourselves again. So will you write this into your notes copy? You know the way you have a notes copy? And you write at the back for me, isn't that right? Yeah. So finding the percentage of a quantity. So I'm going to go straight to an example. Example 1. Find 25% of 50. Okay, so in order to do this, girls, you write the percentage as a fraction. Okay, so what does 25% mean? What does that mean? It means 25 out of 100. Now, of. I can't write of into my calculator, but when I see the word of, what does it mean? What button do I press on the calculator? Multiply by 50 into the calculator with that, so I'll just put calculator here. So you go straight to the calculator with that. Okay, and I'll leave you type it in there and give me an answer. I know the answer, but I want you to get it on the calculator for me. Have you all got your calculators?
Yeah.
Good, because you wouldn't come to my class without one, you wouldn't? No. 12.5? Everyone do it. Okay, I want everyone to do it just to make sure we can do it. Right? And don't forget, when you put in the fraction button and you press the 25 on and put the 25 in on top, the 100 down on the bottom, the cursor is flashing there. So the cursor is flashing. So you need to press the over arrow to get it out. Back up top. Do you all remember that? Has everyone got 12.5? Did anyone not get it? Did we all get 12.5?
Yeah.
Does anyone need any help? Don't be afraid to ask if you do. Right, okay. Example 2. Can I take this away?
Yeah.
Everyone okay? So example 2. Find 37.5% of €320. Sorry, I said 320 and I wrote down 20. So how will I write 37.5%? How will I write that? 37.5 over 100, which is easy. It's easier to type in 37.5. You all know a half is 0.5, don't you?
Yeah.
Right? So it's easier put in 37.5, but you can put in 37.5. So of means you multiply and 320. So into the calculator with that. Okay. So remember, if you're putting in 37.5, you have to press the mixed fraction button. So you press the fraction button first, and then you go shift and the fraction button. That's why it's easier to put in 37.5 on top. Okay? I'll wait. Don't call out the answer for a minute. I'll wait till everyone gets it, and then we'll... Yes? So you press the fraction button first. So this is how you do it. You press the fraction button first. Right? Okay? And then are you putting in 37.5 or 37.5? 37.5. Right? So then you have to press shift and the fraction button up when you're up top. So then you press shift and the fraction button to get into 37.5. So you will end up, it looks crazy on your calculator, but this is what you'll end up with. Do you end up with that in your calculator? Yeah. Okay, so then you put sorry, you end up with this. Did you end up with that in your calculator? And then you put the 37 here, you put the 1 here, so you have to use the arrows to get around, and you put the 100 at the bottom. Is that okay?
Yeah, thank you.
And then you use the over arrow to get out of there, and you press the multiply sign and 320. Okay? Have we all figured it out?
Yeah.
What answer did you get? 120. And because it was euros, put the euro on your answer as well. Is that okay? Did everyone figure out how to do that in the calculator?
Yeah.
Right, okay. I'll do one more, right, and I won't talk you through this one. Okay, sorry, can I take that away? No. You're still writing, are you? Can I take it away?
Yeah.
Right, example 3, so okay. So how will I write 12.5%? What does 12.5% means? It means 12.5 out of 100. And then of means you multiply, and then 108. So into the calculator with that, and don't call out the answer for a minute until everyone gets it. Right, did we all get, what did you get? 13.5?
Yeah.
Everyone in agreement?
Yeah.
Everyone get that? Everyone okay with putting in the 12.5 over 100?
Yeah.
No? Who's not okay? Did I hear a no? Are you sure?
Yeah.
Right, okay. Right, I'm going to give you a few of these to do, and then when we've that done, we can move on, okay? So, very quickly, you're going to do all these ones. Right, let's do all of 1, all of 2. All of 1, all of 2. Right, and jot down your answers. Do them now. Right, it's on, oh, I forgot you'd books. Page 150. Right, so it's 1 and 2. So it's page 150 and it's numbers 1 and 2 now, and I'm giving you 5 minutes to do it because he'll be finished and then we can move on.